Ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of League Chat with the Stat, brought to you by Latitude Accountants. Now, I know these boys personally, and when you meet them, you feel as if they were born to be accountants. Not only that, guys, but they are fanatical Parramatta supporters and will be able to assist you with any of your accounting needs. If you're looking for a new accountant, go speak to the boys there, Mick or Pat, on the number 0298909040. That's 0298909040. Guys, appreciate you joining me again for another week. Another exciting week gone down with another phenomenal State of Origin game done and dusted and in the books. Now, we're going to kick it off this week a little different. Going to start off with all the news around the NRL world just to kick it off for this week. The first things first, we've got William Chambers, who is now playing rugby union in Japan. Has been linked with a move over to the Newcastle Knights and the Brisbane Broncos. He has made some phone calls and made some inquiries to move back to the NRL, which would be a handy addition for both sides, looking for some experience out in the backs. Peter V'landys has acknowledged that the viewership has gone down in the State of Origin games for at least the first two games, and has noticed that it does need to go back to the middle of the season. What he's planning, he's proposing a 25-round season for 2021 and onwards, with State of Origin fitting somewhere in the middle. So in due time, over the next few months, we'll start to look at a schedule to see how Origin's going to fit in the middle of the season across the 25 rounds. And some huge news as well this week. The New South Wales Rugby League have confirmed the resumption of the 2021 season with 10 clubs and a 10-club competition being used for New South Wales Cup, which is good to know that the players that have a lot more depth in their sides would be able to get some game time under their belt so that they aren't just being used in training. It will be handy acquisitions for those putting pressure on the first grade team, and would be great cover for those players that do get injured. Now, back to Peter V'landys for just a quick second, and phenomenal news that he has re-signed with the NRL for the next 3 years. Now, as you guys are aware, Peter V'landys was the man to get the game back up and running this year, with obviously Project Apollo and all the dramas that happened with this year with COVID-19. So, he's done a tremendous effort to be able to negotiate with all the different premiers across the different states to have the competition resume. And he's been the main reason as to why it's gone the way it's gone this year. So, big news for the NRL. He's committed to stick around for the next 3 years, which is good to know. Now, Bulldogs outside back Marcelo Montoya has signed a 2-year deal with the New Zealand Warriors, which then completes their top 30 squad. He'll be, as I said, decent depth for the outside backs, and would be a good cover for someone like Patrick Herbert, who's gone to the Titans as well. Now, the Bulldogs and the Sharks have been linked to West Tigers 5'8" Benji Marshall for season 2021. Now, Benji Marshall's management were looking at $400,000 a season to go to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys just simply couldn't afford it and don't believe he's worth that much, which has put the Bulldogs and the Sharks in the box seat. Now, for the Sharks as well, Sean Johnson will be out to at least around 8 to 10 next year, so he could be some good cover for the Sharkies there. And for the Bulldogs, as you guys know from last week, Blake Green renegade on his deal and stuck it out. It will be sticking it out, with the Newcastle Knights. So any experience that the Bulldogs can have in the halves to mentor Kyle Flanagan, Lachlan, Lewis, and all the other halves they've got there as well. So they'll be able to monitor them as well as Brendan Wakeham, and just be able to assist them over the course of 2021. So both teams linked to having Benji Marshall in their sides for 2021. Now, Sione Matautia, only 24 years old, has signed a 3-year deal with St. Helens and has been granted an immediate release. Now, Sione Matautia, as you guys well aware, made his debut at the age of 18 and is the youngest to make his debut for Australia. And in his career at the Knights, he has, as I said, been one of the youngest to debut at the club, one of the youngest to play for Australia, and would now be and was also one of the youngest to captain the side as well. It would have been a rough patch for the Newcastle Knights over the last few years. He's now taken up a 3-year deal and has been released from the last year of his contract to take up a bigger deal in the English Super League with the St. Helens. Now, big news, Josh Addo-Carr has decided to remain at the Melbourne Storm for 2021. Now, at the conclusion of 2019, it was made clear by Melbourne Storm that they wanted some compensation, whether it be with a player of likability and with all the rep talent that he's got, or in some terms of money. Now, what's happened is that Josh Addo-Carr, because Melbourne Storm couldn't find anyone to replace him, they've advised him and he's agreed to stick it out for another season before moving back to Sydney in 2022, where the Bulldogs and Tigers, again, the two teams that are chasing his signature for 2022. Now, onto the Tigers for a little bit here, and the Tigers have met with James Roberts, obviously being released from the South Sydney Rabbitohs. He met with Tigers officials at a cafe in Darlinghurst on Thursday morning, and would be looking to take a shortcut deal to go to the Tigers. Now, it's a tough one there, considering that he was on about $550,000 a year. He's just wanting to prove his worth, and it's also being chased by the North Queensland Cowboys, who still have some spots to fill in their top 30 squad for next year, and are looking at some speed and agility over at the outside backs. Obviously, their back struggled a lot this year, so someone like James Roberts could be very beneficial for them. Now, Josh Mansour was contacted just last week by Justin Pascoe, the Tigers CEO, just to see what they'd be looking to do to get him to the club. Now, as you guys may be aware, Justin Pascoe was once working at the Penrith Panthers and does have a lot of ties with those Penrith boys. And with Josh Mansour being told he isn't wanted next year and beyond, the Tigers are looking to keep him on for 2 years, wanting to sign him on a 2-year deal. Josh Mansour is chasing a 3-year contract. So that's the current position they're in at the moment between the player and the club. Now, it's just a matter of time to see what's going to happen, but that's the sticking point at the moment. Tigers are cautious of his age and know that he's going to be turning 31 soon, and don't want to give him anything more than a 2-year deal, while Josh Mansour believes he's still got a lot to offer and can go around for another 3 years. Jerome Hughes, the Storm half, is now currently being chased by 7 NRL clubs, headlined by the Gold Coast Titans. The Melbourne Storm put out an offer to him for a 2-year, $1 million deal, which equates to $500,000 a season. Jerome Hughes and his management have actually knocked that back, and with him knocking that back, he was putting himself out in the open market. Now, Jerome Hughes is chasing $700,000 and more a season. He is looking to obviously look after himself and his family for the next few years and set for himself a career after football. Even though he is originally from the Gold Coast Titans, it does have that appeal to go back, which would then be interesting to see what happens with Ash Taylor, who's on $1 million a season for next year as well, before he becomes off contract. So the Titans do have a little bit more money to spend. They wanted to start building their team to be a powerhouse of a club, considering they've also got Tino Fa'asuamaleaui and David Fifita and Herman Esiesi, as well as the players they've already got there as well, and building on for another season. So having someone like Jerome Hughes to be in the halves alongside Jamal Fogarty or even Ash Taylor would be a massive buy for the club and would be able to put them in a genuine chance to contend for the premiership. Now, the Tigers have today signed Sam McIntyre on a deal just for 1 season till the end of the 2021 season. Someone who made his debut at the club for the Tigers this year and played a handful of games will be now making the trip over to the Gold Coast and will be playing for the Titans in 2021 and will be taking the spot of Keegan Hipgrave, who has now signed a deal with the Parramatta Eels, as you guys would have been aware from last week. Now, the Bulldogs have added a few more people they're looking to chase for season 2022. Obviously, Stephen Crichton, one of those, but Spencer Leniu, a under-20s powerhouse, and who's starting to make a bit of an impact for the Penrith Panthers in the NRL, is being chased by Trent Barrett and the Bulldogs, and will be beneficial to the Bulldogs forward pack, having lost a bit of experience there as well. So that's all the news from the NRL world happening just this last week. Now, we're here to talk everything State of Origin and recap what was Game 2. Now, the Blues 34 defeating the Maroons 10. And, yeah, look, you've got to give credit to New South Wales for performing a lot better than they did Game 1. However, let's not get too carried away, guys. Let's not get too carried away. It was only 2-3 minutes in that Cameron Munster was ruled out of the game with a HIA. Now, had he played, it would have been a whole different game, and it would have been something that I couldn't guarantee a New South Wales victory. But I thought that Ben Hunt having to step in to take Cameron Munster's spot, he was just hopeless. There was a reason that he was named Jersey 14. There was a reason that he was named to be an impact off the bench. Having to get thrown in 3 minutes in. He's done it before, but he was just miserable. 4 of the 6 tries were due to his lack of effort in defence. Tedesco ran through him. Cody Walker ran through him. And it was just embarrassing. And it was an off night for Ben Hunt and for the Maroons. As I said, 4 of the 6 tries. And the 2 tries came off scrums. Just being caught short out wide. In a simple 4 and 3 man overlap. So they did struggle a lot, Queensland, in this game. And as I said, it's not a surprise for me to see Ben Hunt dropped. A lot of people were saying keep him at Jersey 14. He provides good impact off the bench. But when he came off the bench and he was there for a longer spell than he needed to be, he wasn't good. And he became more of a liability to the Queensland side than he was a benefit. So I do support the decision that Wayne Bennett has made to drop Ben Hunt. and to elevate someone like Harry Grant to make his debut off the bench, which we'll get to a little bit later in the podcast. But I thought, in terms of New South Wales, as I said, it was a lot better from them. I thought Nathan Cleary was fantastic. I thought it was his best game at number 7 across his time at the Penrith Panthers and across his time in New South Wales. I thought his kicking game was exceptional, and I love the support he received from Josh Addo-Carr. His kicking game was brilliant, which allowed for someone like Josh Addo-Carr to just fly through and to get repeat sets and have Queensland concede a few more dropouts. So the forward pack lifted up. I thought Nathan Brown on his debut was absolutely exceptional. I thought the way he took his first run and he dropped Jake Friend was one to see and one that he would have been looking forward to doing, getting into the Origin arena. So it's very exciting for someone like Nathan Brown to come off and make that sort of impact off the bench. I thought Isaiah Yeo was solid as well in his debut. But as I said, 1 to 17, they were pretty good across the line. I thought Clint Gutherson, that he put on Valentine Holmes within the first 10 minutes of the game, I thought that really set the tone for the Blues. And that was the only good thing he did that game, apart from just defending when he could and just being a benefit to Addo-Carr. So, look, and just on Addo-Carr, I do genuinely believe he's up there as a smoky for the player of the series for New South Wales. Now, there are different people across the game suggesting someone like Daniel Tupou, even Nathan Cleary. But I just think Josh Addo-Carr, he scored 4 tries in the last 2 games and is a genuine smoky for one to take out the player of the series for sure. It would be the first since 2017 that isn't part of the spine of any side to be able to take that going out. So that's my tip. And look, one last thing. We have to talk about it. It was the most exciting part of the game. Thank you for the Biff. My goodness me, it's about time. Now, Tino Fa'asuamaleaui and Payne Haas throwing a few punches. I can honestly say that I know that when I watched the game with some mates, that was the loudest we got, and you could definitely hear the crowd over at ANZ Stadium definitely feeling the same way. The Biff has to come back. It was mentioned prior to this game by some of the legends, such as Ryan Girdler, that Queensland have become a team that are too liked, and there is no hate for them, and which I can understand. If you look at the players, they've got Josh Papali, who is one of the best blokes, is a legend. You got Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, Moriaki Fotuaika, Daly Cherry Evans, Cameron Munster. You know, the list could go on and on. So there isn't enough hate in the game of State of Origin, but I thought that Biff, that rivalry with Payne Haas and Tino Fa'asuamaleaui was wonderful. And I'm looking to see more Biffs for Game 3, just to end the year on the high, and to bring back the Biff in Origin. I'll be definitely proclaiming that. And while I wish it comes back for all NRL games, just leave some room for the international arena and for State of Origin to bring back the Biff. So it was good to see. So, as I said, that was the talking points for State of Origin 2. As I said, the Blues too good to defeat the Maroons 34 points to 10. Now, in terms of State of Origin talk in preparation for Game 3, now the Queensland government have announced a full stadium for Game 3, which means it'll be able to be attended at 100% capacity. So we're looking at a potential sellout for State of Origin 3, and which would be the first sellout and a full crowd for the first time potentially this year, which is exciting news for Australia and definitely for Queensland to be able to have their state pretty much go back to normal in almost every capacity. Now, Xavier Coates, the Queensland winger, was doing light duties on Sunday. I believe his shoulder is still troubling him. Brad Fittler today confirmed that Ryan Papenhuyzen will not be named as a smoky off the bench. The Blues will be sticking 1 to 17. While it might be disappointing for Ryan Papenhuyzen, it's been quite the year for him, having made the squad, having won a grand final and taking out the Clive Churchill. It's a year that you can't get much better than that for Ryan Papenhuyzen. And while he may be disappointed he wouldn't be debuting, I'm sure that it'll just lead him to be motivated to be able to get a gig in that next year. Wayne Bennett is going to pull a little shuffle in the selection. He's looking to bring Corey Allen to debut on the wing, but he's looking to change him up at fullback and move Valentine Holmes over to the wing. Now, the reason for that is because Valentine Holmes was a little scratchy in his first game back after 10 odd weeks, especially after having surgery on his ankle. And as well, Josh Addo-Carr is just way too fast. And with Holmes being faster than Allen, Wayne Bennett wants to be able to use Holmes to be able to defend him more and to be able to actually attempt to chase him down and put in a bit more of an effort to chase him down. So there could be a bit of a switcheroo happening there. So we want to watch out for those Queensland fans and for those New South Wales fans as well. And something interesting that I read today on Nathan Brown. Now, if you look at the bench of New South Wales, you'll see that there are 4 forwards in that bench. Now, you'll see that there are Dale Finucane, there is Isaiah Yeo, there is Nathan Brown as well. And it's very interesting to see that, considering when you take a look at their side, you'll be able to see that with Junior Paulo there as well, there isn't much utility value on the New South Wales bench. So Fred Lee came out today and said that Nathan Brown, should Damien Cook go down, would be a valuable addition at hooker. I don't know. I feel like Nathan Brown's given the role of a Josh Maguire or a Sam Thaiday from that time at club level, even for country, when Josh Maguire played hooker for Samoa. And his confidence in his ability, I don't know how I feel about it. As I said, a Ryan Pappenhauser would more suit to a standard utility role, but you don't make any changes to a team that obviously won 34-10 last week. So it's an interesting one to read. Isaiah Yeo would be depth in the centres, should any of the centres go down. So that would be something to keep a note of. And Dale Finucane and Paulo will just cover the forwards in that side as well. Now, moving over to the sides for New South Wales versus Queensland in the third and final game of the State of Origin series. As I said, the Blues are 1-17, and no changes will be made there. For the Maroons, as I said, Corey Allen will make his debut on the wing in place of Philip Sammy. Philip Sammy didn't have a great game, as you saw on the weekend, and got found out by Adokar many times. Harry Grant will also make his debut off the bench and take the spot of Ben Hunt, and Christian Walsh will return into the side, and Moriaki Fotuaika making way from the side. Now, it's only going to get tougher from here. I don't doubt Wayne Bennett and Mal Meninga and the coaching staff at Queensland. And with the game being played over at Suncorp Stadium in a full crowd, I think it's going to be the toughest game by far in the State of Origin series. I do want the Blues to come out on top, and I do think they will. It wouldn't be a 34-10 scoreline or anything more than 8 points. The Blues will take them out by 8 points. I just think the experience that the Blues have and wanting to build off last week, I think will be the biggest factor for them. And with the Maroons, as I said, the inexperience there and with the team they have and the more debutants they bring in, which is fantastic for Queensland, but I just don't think they'll be able to match it with New South Wales. If Cody Walker and Nathan Cleary can continue their form from Game 2 and bring it into Game 3, that would be definitely huge. Now, obviously, Cody Walker was a massive asset to the Blues in Game 2 and was able to just allow Cleary to play his own game, which was good to see. So that's going to be where the threat is. It's the halves. With Munster, Cherry Evans coming up against Walker and Cleary. Walker and Cleary showed them up, and they need to do it again. And the Blues need to lift to another level if they're going to want to be able to cause some issues for Queensland and to be able to take out the Shield and to have it won 3 times in a row. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on League Chat with the Stat. As I said, we're brought to you this week by Latitude Accountants. As I said, if you want to give them a call, 0298909040, and look out for Mick or Pat. They'll be able to assist you with all your accounting needs. You know where we are. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and we're all over different podcasting streams, which will obviously be on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see there. I appreciate your support. Enjoy Game 3. Go up the Blues. Let's get it happening. Enjoy Game 3. Enjoy what will be the last game of NRL for this year as we close off the year and get ready for season 2021. Thank you very much, guys. Once again, you guys have a good week. Go the Blues. Take care.